new secret alien messages from Fruit by the Foot. The fun never ends.
We're back on Ghost Seekers, and again with me is Matt Payne. Matt, I want to try to define for our viewers really what a ghost is. How do you define what a ghost is?
Well, you first have to look at what you mean when you say the term ghost. In general, from what I understand, is a ghost is a person who has died, but their energy, that intangible part of them, has not moved on. You know, a lot of people use the term ghost and spirit in conjuncture, when in actuality, most spirits are more concept. You can have a spirit of rage, a spirit of vengeance, a spirit of hope. And then from then you have various forms within even the term ghost. Like a specter is a ghost that has.
So these are different classifications.
Yes.
Okay. Tell us about the classifications of different ghosts.
Well, for example, a specter. A specter is a ghost that has a message to deliver to the living. So it will wander around trying to make as much turmoil as possible to get to bring its attention to someone to deliver its message.
So this is possibly the easiest one for us to detect.
Yes.
That's the specter ghost is really the one as ghost seekers that we're looking for.
And that's the one you're most likely to encounter because it wants to be seen. It knows it's dead. It knows it has to deliver a message. Whereas just your, lack of a better term, garden variety ghost probably does not realize they're dead. Is very confused, does not understand what's happening to it, and will lash out if provoked or if you bring to attention its situation.
Any documentation that supports you use the term lashing out, a ghost acting towards a living person in some sort of evil way? Is there any proof? Is there any documentation or anything that we can share with our viewers that can support that claim?
Well, I'm sure, as you've found in your research, the term proof is very hard to come by. And you can go back through history and find stories of poltergeists.
Well, even anecdotal proof.
There's a lot of stories of poltergeists around young female children just entering puberty. These are ghosts that cause not so much disasters or pain, but are just mischievous. They will turn the faucets on and leave them running all night. They will rearrange your kitchen cabinets, and just for the sake of that's something they can do. And it seems to be that they draw energy from the reactions of people to these events. If you came across your bathroom tub overflowing and just turned off the tub and didn't think about it again, the ghost would have less of a chance of doing it a second time.
You said it's often documented amongst young girls. Is that, do you think, because of their heightened emotion?
Yes, exactly. That is the time in their lives when the chemicals in the brain are having the emotions go haywire. They can be happy and on top of the world one minute, and the worst disaster that could possibly happen the next. So that shift in emotion and that constant churning can have an effect to act as, for lack of a better term, a battery, a power source for a ghost.
That's a very fertile zone for ghost seeking.
Yes.
We wouldn't, at the other end of the scale, we would see old men, perhaps, with no encounters with ghosts, or is there a lack of balance?
There is a lack of balance, and it seems to be your frame of mind. How open are you to the unseen world around you? If you've been raised in a very regimented, A equals B equals C, you'll have a very hard time to see anything paranormal. You'll find an explanation. Oh, it wasn't a ghost. There was a tree branch outside rubbing against the house. Whereas if you were living in a very open-minded community, you'd be able to see ghosts easily. New Orleans is a great example of that.
Where people are more open to spiritual investigation? Or
It's often referred to as the most paranormally active place in the United States.
I understand you've been there to study this?
Yes, and I spent a great deal of time in the French Quarter, where it is not seen as kooks trying to run a scam on you. It is the place you go if you believe that you have spiritual energies that you want to learn to control or to use. Ghost hunting organizations there are taken very seriously, and they take their work seriously, and they don't have that same stigma to them that, oh, you're just trying to get money or you're just trying to get famous.
To me, there's nothing scarier in a horror movie or something than a child in some sort of paranormal state. Are there ages to ghosts? Do their ages reveal themselves? Are there child ghosts? Or if someone becomes a ghost, are they really ageless?
In general, the rule of thumb seems to be that your supernatural presence, your ghostly presence, stops at the age you died. Now, on the flip side, as we were saying before, there are some spirits that appear to you as specific children. Like, there was a group of spirits known as the Night Mara. For example, a creature called a Felsteed, a horse. One of the other the Night Mara is the Nightmare Child, a little girl who, if you try to help her, she will make your life a living hell.
That's a movie I don't want to see.
Well,
now, you mentioned that the ghost appears in the state that they were at the time of their death. What if there is horrific disfigurement or dismemberment or something? Are they assembled to some sort of perfect form of themselves, do you believe, or can they be fractured?
There's a range of that. A lot of times it would appear that a ghost has no idea that they're dead, that they're just living their lives. And if those ghosts, you look upon them, and they are as their most perfect form of themselves. If they lost their arm, they are walking around with both arms. The great example is the story of Hotel California, the song. There was a Hotel California, and it burnt down and the only person getting out was the night manager. When they rebuilt the hotel, the same night manager, continued to work there. They saw ghosts throughout the hotel. They were burnt, they were disfigured, crying for help, as if this event hadn't been resolved. Less than a year after it was rebuilt, it burnt down again, and the night manager was the only one not to escape. So it really depends on, were these ghosts not willing to move on without that one person who was supposed to die with them?
Just like our show Ghost Seekers, you can check out anytime you want, but you can never leave. We'll be right back.
30 on UPN 33.
Welcome back to Ghost Seekers. I was speaking earlier with my friend Matt, and now I've got my associate Brian with me. And again, I was talking during our break about my fear, and I think a lot of people's fear, of children as ghosts. And that's something that I can tell you brings my heartbeat a little higher when we're out on the road, on site, and we're looking for a ghost that might be a child. It's a whole different thing. And I've got some friends of mine recently were looking at purchasing an old store that they wanted to convert into a house. They went into this, it was like a general store, but it was already being lived in by a family. And when they looked around, there was a little child's desk, like an antique desk. And this building is probably 100 to 150 years old. And it's got this old desk sitting in the house when they were looking around, and they mentioned to the owners, not only did they want to buy the house, but they would really like to have that desk. And the owners just were like floored by that request, because they put that desk there because they believed there was a ghost of a young girl in this home that the owners claimed to have seen, and she was calm when she could sit at that desk. When they brought this desk in and gave her a place to read, play, work, whatever her function was, that's what they believed created some peace and order in their home, so they kept the desk there, and they were happy to pass it on and leave it there. It was actually kind of one of the reasons they were selling the home. Didn't bother the new buyers, the friends of mine, at all, but they kept the desk in the home and they've never had any experience seeing the child ghost. Do you have a fear of children ghosts?
Well, I mean, I guess with the death of a child, it's like a kind of a traumatic thing. I think for all practical purposes, I'd rather meet like an adult ghost, if there's such a thing, rather than a child ghost. Simply because like with a small child ghost, maybe there's like the issue like, you know, do you want to help the ghost or should you be afraid of it? You know, and it's a little more confused, right? Where maybe you just imagine that like a more mature ghost would have a better idea of their purpose, I suppose. I haven't really given a lot of thought.
What else did you want to share with us tonight?
Well, I was looking at this book called Lies My Teacher Told Me, and in it they have this sort of interesting philosophical idea. It comes from the Kiswahili tribe in Africa. Basically, the idea is that rather than just sort of the living and dead categories that we have here, they add a third category of the living dead. And these aren't undead that come from the grave. Rather, the idea is you have sort of all the people who are alive, and then someone dies. All the people who are alive, who still remember that person, until they die, that person isn't really dead. That sort of middle ground they refer to as the Sasha. When the last person who knew that person dies, they pass from the Sasha into the Zamani, which is, they call it sort of like ancestry, kind of like the way that the Japanese revere their ancestors. So that just sort of, you know, if you talk about a ghost kind of having like a purpose, right, it would seem to me that ghost probably would belong more in the Sasha than the Zamani, right? Because if every person you've ever known was gone, like what purpose would you have?
That's kind of like what I've talked before with Matt about, is how in ancient Egypt the worst thing that could happen to you was that you were stricken from history altogether, that the record of your life was gone. And I guess that's kind of relates when everyone who ever knew you is now gone, you kind of die for real at that point, don't you?
Yeah, it's like that Tragically Hip song. They say, we don't go to hell, just our memories do. Just sort of, it's the same kind of idea, but I mean, like, if ghosts are real, does it matter what we're doing? I'm just, it's sort of like a kind of confused, empty space with, like, you know, a million times more questions than there are answers. It's really hard to say anything with any kind of certainty.
It certainly is, and we want to try to document this further and further with more trips out on the field, and we're going to take our viewers with us next week to a location in a castle that has had ghosts there for years, a local castle, and hopefully when we set up our equipment we'll get something for our viewers to see. We'll be right back.
Chipless Chips Ahoy?
Not on my shift.
But where are my chips?
Welcome back to Ghost Seekers. I want to talk a little bit about a location that we're going to go and visit in a couple weeks. Brian, we're heading out to Dundurn Castle in Hamilton. Have you heard of the place?
Oh yeah, it's a very famous landmark.
Yeah, well, it was built in the 1830s, and apparently it's one of the most haunted sites in the province of Ontario. Sir Alan and his family haunt the castle, apparently, and some of the things that have been experienced there. One is temperature changes within certain areas of the room. People feel a coldness, a cold draft, kind of common amongst ghost experiences. Also objects moving around, candles blowing out for no particular reason, and also the sound of singing voices, which is great for us. We can certainly record sound. And so the thing that I have some questions with, it seems like a real hotbed spot for coldness. How are we going to record the temperature changes?
Well, I mean, say compared to how things were in the past, I mean, obviously the thermometers have been around for quite a while, but they haven't really had anything to sort of specifically target any area. Now what we have are things called, or devices called directional thermometers, and what they do is allow you to sort of focus the measurement so you're capturing the temperature in a specific volume of air. So rather than looking at the whole room, we're going to look at a specific space. I mean, obviously drafty castles are nothing new, but if we can find sort of something unusual that doesn't make sense with the environment we're in, well, that may be the first clue to finding something larger.
How does the data come back to us on the device? Is it through a temperature number readout, or is it an image? It's
just like a Polaroid camera we've used. It doesn't take a picture. It gives you a readout, a number readout, and so basically by scanning different areas, you can then mark down on a piece of paper and sort of graph out an area of a room that way.
Okay, so it's sort of like a police radar gun.
Right, but I mean it's easy to use as a camera. Click, 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 and we write down the numbers.
Excellent. Well, we look forward to sharing that with the viewers when we go and visit Dundurn Castle in about 2 weeks.